Welcome to Type C Tech Reviews. Today we're going to be doing a review of the LG 34GP83A-B UltraGear. I'm going to go over the pros and the cons and my own real life experience over the last 6 months. And if at any point during the video you want to go check out this exact same monitor, there's Amazon links below for the US, UK, and Canada. I do got you guys, but let's jump into the video. All right, now the first pro is it's a 34-inch ultrawide. It's 1440p and it's curved. Now this is pretty much like the perfect size, resolution, text is crisp, games are crisp, although it's still fairly easy to hit 1440p ultrawide in games, because again, the ultrawide is gonna add a little bit more to your system because it's pushing a little bit more pixels. So 1440p is pretty perfect. I have an RTX 3080 and still, if I was gonna do 4K ultrawide, I don't know if that system could handle it. All right, now let's talk color accuracy, because that's a big thing with the UltraGear lineup in general. This actually gets pretty good colors and it gets a pretty big range of the color gamut. This gets 98% of the DCI P3 color gamut, which is really, really good. That's about 135% of the sRGB color space, meaning that this monitor, if calibrated correctly, which I'm pretty sure they actually come pre-calibrated, will be able to do video editing and photo editing as well as gaming, which cannot be said for a ton of monitors, although we are seeing it more and more. Now the colors are great, but as well as that, this is a 10-bit panel natively. This is no 8-bit plus frame rate control. No, this is a 10-bit panel. That's a big reason why you're gonna buy one of these monitors. Again, is because you're getting all the different shades. You got 1.07 billion colors in this thing. And a side note, when you get this thing, if you have an NVIDIA graphics card, you go to NVIDIA control panel and change it from 8-bit to 10-bit, because it will be on 8-bit when you get this thing from the factory. All right, now let's talk brightness. This thing gets up to 400 nits. That's what it's marketed as, but it will get up to 450 nits at a peak brightness level. Now I've had absolutely no issues with the brightness. I love this brightness. I've used higher, brighter panels. In fact, I just did a comparison of this versus an Asus 34-inch ultrawide, and that thing went up to 550 nits. But again, once you're getting really high in the nit ranges, once you pass about 400, the differences are minimal. But baseline, 400 nits, it's a great brightness level. If there's a window open, you're still gonna be okay. Direct sunlight, you're gonna wanna bump it up a little bit more, but with all the windows in my living room, this thing worked perfectly, and I don't see any glare due to the brightness, as well as it having a matte finish on it. Now the next pro is this thing has FreeSync Premium, and yes, it does not have G-Sync. However, if you guys don't know, FreeSync works with NVIDIA graphics cards, so it'll enable very, very quickly. And I will say, some monitors, you have to do some things to make it get enabled and such, or for your graphics card to actually recognize it. This was not like that. Plug it in and it immediately comes up, a little notification, and everything works fine out of the box. The contrast ratio is 1000 to 1, which is not the best, but again, this is an IPS panel, and honestly, I would way rather have every other stat than having like a 4000 to 1 contrast ratio and ghosting. Now let's talk ghosting. This thing basically does not have it. It is so good for an IPS panel. Now we know VA panels suffer from ghosting way more than IPS panels, but this IPS panel is like really, really good. It's basically not there at all. I'm seriously impressed, and gameplay is just super smooth, no screen tearing. There's a reason this thing is like the king of the ultrawides. And the next pro slash con is it's advertised to have HDR10. Now, you need a 10-bit panel to have HDR10, which this does have. However, really to have true HDR, you need 700 plus nits, and this thing just doesn't have that. So I know it's very known at this point, but HDR it's not. It's really not true HDR unless you're getting 700 nits or brighter. That's pretty much baseline. All right, now let's talk response time. This thing gets a 1 millisecond G to G or gray to gray response time, which is much better than if you're looking at motion picture response time, MPRT. If you're looking or comparing monitors with an MPRT response time, it's very different from gray to gray response time. So definitely check your monitor's G to G to compare it to this monitor. This monitor is really good, 1 millisecond, it's quite good. And that's gonna lead us right into the refresh rate, which is 144 Hertz, but it is overclockable to 160 Hertz. And it's very easy to do that. All you do is go into the menu system, and then you can choose overclock to 160 Hertz, click that, and then go to your NVIDIA control panel or your Windows display settings and change it to 160 Hertz. The option pops up there and it's very easy to do. All right, now let's talk ports. This has one display port, 1.4, 2 HDMI 2.0s, a 3.5mm audio out, and then 2 USB A's and a USB Type B. The ports are great, nothing insane, but it is nice to have those USBs to power some of those RGB backlights that I put on the back of my monitor. All right, now let's talk the menu system. I don't talk about this a lot with monitors, but this one I had to because it's the best in class. It uses a single toggle switch for the control, which is perfect. Everything is responsive, quick, easy to read. There is basically zero learning curve. You can see and find everything extraordinarily easily. It's quick to turn it on and off. It's basically perfect. Like, LG nailed this, and so many companies, like ASUS's is pretty good, but then they have like 4 buttons randomly. It's like, just use one toggle switch. Oh, and as well, you can also add crosshairs, but that's pretty common on gaming monitors. All right, now let's talk build quality of the stand. This stand is built quite well. It's LG's UltraGear monitor stand. It's great. It's got height adjustability, it's got tilt adjustability, and it's got a little bit of rotation, which is really nice to see. All the movements are very easy and refined, just like you'd expect from LG. However, you guys know I'm a big monitor arm guy. Monitor arms are super easy to install. They're super cheap, even for a monitor of this size, and they clean up your desk and make your setup look epic. I will have a monitor arm that I've tested with this monitor linked below. It's super cheap. I will also have that link below if you guys want to check that out. But the next row is obviously, it is VESA capable with 100mm by 100mm mounts, which is great. And I think it weighs about 12.1 pounds, so it's very easy to mount on a bunch of different monitor arms. But overall, this is the best gaming monitor / video and photo editing monitor that I have used. I've been using this for the past 6 months. I've been reviewing a ton of different monitors, and I have not found one that can do everything that this one does. If you are looking for a monitor that can do it all, does it incredibly well, and is very premium and pretty, this is absolutely the one for you. Again, if you do want to check it out, there's Amazon links below for the US, UK, and Canada, but very few monitors can do this. Very few monitors can pull off every part of it. Now, I'd say probably the weakest spot is the contrast ratio. It's an IPS panel, what are you gonna do? But the experience with this is just the best. It's very hard to get better than this. I've used Alienwares, I've used ASUS, all these other brands, all these other ultrawides, and it's hard to really compare them to these because this one just pulls ahead. There are some monitors that do some stuff better, like the contrast ratio, but very few monitors do all of everything really well. But if you guys enjoyed this video and it helped you out, help me out and throw a like below. And if you enjoy monitor reviews or gaming monitor reviews, I do a ton of those, so please consider subscribing below. We're trying to get to 2,000 subscribers. But this was Type C Tech Reviews, and I'll see you guys later.